What's one unsolved mystery you'd like to see solved before you die? The Alps murders, as they are known in the UK, an English family on holiday in France, are assassinated with an old pistol with accuracy that points towards a professional hit. A cyclist is found murdered in the same lay-by by the same weapon. The assassin thought they had tied up all loose ends, until after 8 hours on the scene the French police found their 4-year-old daughter hiding under her dead mother's legs. 9 years later there's still no clue over who or why they were all murdered. GQ did the best article about it. https://www.gq.com/story/Alps murder Cheveline. This year, the investigation of the Alp murders, or La Touride Cheveline as we call it, was reopened after some searches in a different case that sounds like the plot of a polar. A CEO, Muriel Millet, ordered a hit on a syndicalist. Members of the Freemason lodge called Athena actually organized the hit. They confessed and are incarcerated, using as hitmen 2 agents from the DGSE, the French Secret Services. It revealed a few other successful and unsuccessful hits, all having this Athena lodge as a common denominator. After the searches, they reopened the Alp murders case. So I guess it's safe to speculate that it was most probably an organized hit gone wrong, since a cyclist saw it and subsequently got shot. My wife's missing brother. I met him in 2009 while I was visiting Costa Rica. He was a local and befriended me. Shortly before my trip was over he introduced me to his sister, now my wife. I left for about 8 months before returning, and he disappeared in that time. He is a kind soul, and is the only reason I met my wife. I wish we could find him, or at least find out what happened. His mom lights a candle for him nearly every night. For the last 12 years. It's heartbreaking. My cousin disappeared in Costa Rica as well about 20 years ago. He went to the beach with some friends and never came back. His friends say he was at the beach at night and disappeared. Sounds like he possibly drowned, but no one has ever said anything. His mom receives phone calls with just silence on the other end of the line, and it has always been a very sad mystery. I hope they find your brother-in-law. In 1994 I found a cinema ticket stub for Speed in my jacket pocket. I never saw Speed at the cinema, nor did I lend my jacket to anybody that had. I'd like to know where it came from, so I can one day sit through the film without wondering about it. You in another reality saw the movie, stashed the ticket, and wonders where it went. I'd like to know what happened to Andrew Goston. https://n.m. Wikipedia org/wiki/disappearance_of_Andrew_Goston. A 14-year-old boy left home in Yorkshire one morning in 2007 dressed in his school uniform, and then withdrew all his money from his bank account. He went back home after his parents had gone to work and changed out of his uniform. Then went to the train station and bought a one-way ticket to London, about 2 hours away by train. There is CCTV footage of him leaving King's Cross station, but that's the last time he was seen. He didn't tell his parents he was planning to go to London, and it's never been established why he went there. I'd love to find out he's actually okay, or even if not for his parents to finally find out what happened to him. It broke my heart reading his parents refuse to change the locks of their house in case he comes back home. I remember watching a true crime show where parents kept their porch light on for years for their missing daughter, so she's not scared when she comes back. Years later they found out she was murdered. The end scene was them finally turning off the light. I sobbed like a baby. Where did the Nazis stash the entire amber room from St. Petersburg Palace? I used to work as a guide at a castle, where it was believed to have been hidden. Every once in a while, a tourist would ask about it. One day, a small group even managed to sneak away from the tour and hide for the night at the castle, searching for it. No success though. Hilarious. Sneaky fuckers. Must have been fun. Why when I have a 50/50 chance of putting a USB in correctly I get it wrong twice? As someone from Columbus, the disappearance of Brian Schaffer, it kills me that all these years later there still isn't a definitive answer to what happened to him. I really hope the case gets solved in my lifetime. Where Ian Brady buried Keith Bennett. I doubt we'll ever know now, unless someone happens to stumble over his remains. but my heart aches when I think of that poor boy's mother being tormented by his killer until the end of her life. Yeah, that was awful. I know Mira Hindley went back to Moors a few times with the police to find him, but I honestly believe she was doing it more for her image. Her and Brady knew exactly where everybody was, so there's no way Hindley forgot. The disappearance of William Tyrrell. Basically, a 3-year-old kid was kidnapped in his front yard after the foster grandma went inside for a glass of water and she heard screaming from the sister, and when she ran out he was gone. This happens around 2014, and I still remember his face on the news in his Spider-Man costume. This one still gets me. I often think of William Tyrrell and what his family, foster and biological, must go through every waking moment, especially now I'm a mother of a toddler. What happened to the Beaumont children? https://n wikipedia.org/wiki/disappearance_of_the_Beaumont_children. Change the way parents in my hometown thought about letting their kids out on a weekend forever. What are the Mormons keeping in their vault that's surrounded in granite and heavily guarded? 50/50 money or some random thing they think is magic? I'm really not trying to S on the Mormons too much, but you start reading up on Joseph Smith and it's rather amazing Mormonism ever caught on. Mormonism is just the Scientology of the 1800s, and I cannot be convinced otherwise. The Princes in the Tower. What happened to Brian Schaffer, med student from Ohio, who was seen entering a bar but never leaving? Antimatter. Why is the universe almost entirely matter, when equal amounts of matter and antimatter should annihilated each other? Where is the missing antimatter? Is there a slight difference between matter and antimatter particles that causes matter to last longer? Are there places in the universe primarily made of antimatter instead of matter? Well, outside the observable universe, of all the open problems in physics, this is the most pressing and deceptive one. We don't think about it much, we just take it for granted. Astronomers are looking at galaxies millions of light years away, and we just know it's made of usual matter. Personally, I think Alan Guthkamp might have it right in the most realistic sense. There might be domains within the really huge universe, where one form of matter dominates over other, each domain separated by a high energy barrier of some sort. We have so far only gone as far as to observe things within our domain. These barriers could have expanded to cosmic size during inflation era, which is a very reasonable theory at this point. My best friend's little brother disappeared from an army base last July. Good or bad? I'd like to know what happened to Private Richard Halliday. I was born and raised in that area. I hate to say it, but I would put money on him being dead and buried somewhere on feet. Bless. That's also the location where the young asylum-seeking kids have been detained/disappeared from Gov custody. There's a lot of sketch going on at feet. Bless. El Paso border town with Juarez. My money is they got caught at the wrong place at the wrong time while partying at some place like La Playa across the border. Are we alone in the universe? I can't believe more people didn't want to know this. This would be one of my top questions. But the question I want the answer to the most is how the universe came to be and why there is something rather than nothing. Edit. I stand corrected. Lots of people want to know this. The original comment was pretty far down when I saw it, and I was shocked that I hadn't seen more comments asking questions like that. I was expecting for everyone to ask existential type questions when I first saw this post. Also, I forgot to mention that I really want an answer to the mind-body problem. Same. Like existence itself does not make sense at all. Like, why does the universe exist in the first place? So interesting. This is the question that I want its answer the most. 2. Delphi murders. That video is too compelling for Bridge Guy to not be found. I agree with you 100%. It drives me crazy. I know they keep saying it was someone from Delphi or familiar with the area, but as time goes on I really feel like it wasn't. Surely if that was the case someone would have seen something and spoken up due to it being a small town. I've heard that the hardest murders to solve are the ones that are random. Random person goes to a random area and kills a random person or persons for no reason at all, without history, motive, etc. It's near impossible to solve if there aren't any witnesses, and that's what this seems like to me. It reminds me of how every once in a while someone on Reddit will come to the brilliant conclusion that if you want to get away with being a serial killer, all you have to do is get away from your geographic location and kill people you don't know who have nothing in common with each other, and you'll basically never get caught. Probably some dude who had the same idea who might even still be out there killing people. What happened to the famous Alcatraz escapees? I watched a documentary which suggests that the two brothers lived for many years after, and that a school friend of theirs even met them years after the escape. He even got a picture of them, and they possibly went and dragged to their mother's funeral. Two unknown women were certainly there, and disappeared, with the FBI agents who attended the funeral looking for them afterwards. Disappearance of Madeleine McCann. This is one I'd like to see answered. Did she die in the hotel room? Is she somewhere still alive not knowing who she really is? Or even reading this right now wondering what happened to that little girl with the same eyes as her? Did the parents do it? What, if anything, does the German suspect have to do with it? So many unanswered questions. Last I heard they were searching that German suspect's property and found like a hidden passageway. I thought for sure he did after that, but no update on the case happened. What is dark matter? Or better put, what about physics do we not understand that is causing the effects we see, that we attribute to dark matter? Not all of the Egyptian pyramids have been full explored. I'd like to know what's in and under those pyramids. Also, what is hidden deep in the Vatican's archives? I'd like to know that too. And while we're here, what about the mystery of the missing packet? Whenever you send something over the internet. Sorry for my ignorance. What is the mystery of the missing packet? Made a few Google searches and got results to Amazon Books and Tales for Kids. What happened to Shirley Miscavige? She is happy, healthy and alive. Boom boom. Isabella Stewart Museum art recovered. That's a good one. I saw the documentary. One of the suggestions is that they are in a private collection or the people who stole them are dead and they are stored away someplace. I think the main theory is that the heist was done on the behest of a private collector /s. Some of what they stole wasn't worth as much as other pieces, and they passed by and didn't steal some incredible pieces. They had a list. They grabbed what they were hired to steal, and they left. The works are, hopefully, stored properly with private collectors now, and will, maybe, one day be returned. I don't remember what the case was called / nicknamed, but it is a missing 411 case. 3 friends were hiking a mountain. They were tied onto a line together. The two at the front noticed that the line got significantly lighter out of nowhere, so they pulled the line expecting to be met with weight of their friend. What they pulled up was a now severed end of rope, and no friend in sight. They went back assuming they'd find their friend taking a break or something like that, but he was gone. Nowhere to be found. What makes this case really weird is that the particular stretch they were on wasn't particularly steep. It was only slightly inclined, and there were no steep falls nearby, yet he was gone, as if he was picked up and removed from the mountain. The most they ever found of him was his backpack several miles off the path in a cave, which is weird all on its own, because there was no plausible way he could have gotten there from where they were on the trail. I think about it at least once a week. What in the hell could have happened to him? Edit. I should add that yes, it's plausible this story is a hoax. I grew up in the middle of nowhere, so I know exactly how strange the woods can seem. It could be a hoax. It could be a murder. It could somehow be true. I'll never know, but that's why I want to know. Marshall Islands, 370. I'm sure they'll eventually find the wreckage and have a better idea exactly what happened, but even today they are still finding old WWII ships and even ships older than that. So I hope that it's found before I leave, because I do wonder what happened to that plane. I just hope it's a matter of years or decades, and not centuries. The disappearance of Sandy Ivine and what's on the camera he was carrying. Sandy Ivine and George Mallory attempted to summit Everest in 1924. Mallory was discovered in 1999, but the body of Ivine is still missing. It's so cool that George Mallory was found 75 years later. A fake. They still don't know whether he died on the way up or the way down. Odds are on the way up, but it'd be interesting to know. How this lawyer in Argentina, https n.m. Wikipedia org/wiki/death_of_Alberto_Nisman managed to shoot himself in the back of the head twice in a locked bathroom days/hours before he was going to depose the former PM of Argentina. I was just doing finger guns to see if it was possible to shoot myself in the back of the head, but then I realized he shot himself twice. I think that's a pretty tricky task. He just fired the second shot while the first one was still in the air. Nothing weird about it. Dude just got really fast finger slashes. I have a half brother. I'd love to know who he is and what his family was like. He would have been born shortly after my mother divorced my father and fled the state. This is very likely doable if you test on 23andMe and Ancestry. This is how I know I have a half brother, but he isn't on social media and I have no other way of contacting him. What caused the Bronze Age collapse? I know that it is a bit esoteric, but I really wanna know for sure. There are a few interesting theories, but no definitive answer. For an event, or aggregation of many events, more accurately, that occurred 3200 years ago. A really good theory is the best I think we can hope for, rather than solved. This video, https://www.youtube.com/watch v=aq4g7vxi by one of my favorite history YouTube channels gets into quite a few of the possibilities. I implore anyone interested in the collapse to give it a watch. Then go watch his stuff on Rome, because goddamn is it interesting. A girl from my hometown, Tupelo, manuscript, disappeared under suspicious circumstances, blood and hair found, glasses left behind, etc. On a school day when we were both about 12y/0. I'm 39 now. Her name is Leaki. Her body was never found. She used to come to school with obvious signs of physical abuse. No one was ever charged. It still breaks my heart. I need to know what happened. As a person kinda close to Tupelo milliseconds, I've never heard of this case, and now I'm going on a deep dive into it.